right, everybody, welcome. Welcome on in. NorCal Sports Network. And that was ugly, guys. That was an old fashioned, butt whooping back in the country, right? Old fashioned butt whooping. It was over in the first inning. You knew it was over. Didn't even matter that Fitzgerald hit the home run. You knew the Giants weren't scoring 6.
Not against the Braves.
Wow. Well, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. Dan Cucimillo along with Bora here. And this show is brought to you guys by, let me tell you who it's brought to you by. There it is. Right at the bottom of the screen. Brought to you by Secure Money. 888-960-SAFE. 888-960-SAFE. If you want to protect your money, make it safe. The implosion of the market possibly coming, give me a call. 888-960-SAFE or 7233. Keep your money safe. Make sure your hard-earned assets are protected. If you need life insurance, we got you covered there. Also, Flex Funding, another sponsor of the show. That's Los's business. I'm Secure Money. Los's number there at the bottom of the screen, 925-250-4894. Give him a call. If you trust us on the air, help us to earn your trust in your personal lives and your business. Okay. Guys, we're heard here on Facebook, or not here on Facebook, here on YouTube, Twitter, formerly X, also Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, and whatever else we missed, but we're on it. Okay, so look us up. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hit the like button if you would. It'd be a great appreciation. We really do appreciate you guys here. If you missed the pregame show tonight, I missed one. 3-1 now in the last 4. I picked the Gigantes 4-3. I was going with the Braves. I was so torn. This felt like a toss-up game, and it felt like a must-win game tonight, Bora. It absolutely felt like a must-win. Now, the best you can do is you're 6 behind the Braves in the loss column. The best you can do is leave town well, not really leave town. You're going to Oakland, but Saturday. But the best you can do after this series is be 5 behind the Braves in the loss column. You can't go 7 back tomorrow.
No, you tomorrow is, I mean, if today wasn't a must win, tomorrow is a definite must win.
Yes. And as TN says, the Braves own the tiebreaker.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. It's getting to be closer and closer to Niner season. Maybe tomorrow, I need to bring out my giant fork and stick it in him. That would be fitting. You know, how about if we get Ayuk signed on the 49ers tomorrow and the Giants season just officially ends and we just start focusing in on the 49ers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. We got to get something going. This is pathetic. Just a no-show club tonight. They look, to me, Bora, just like what I thought they've looked all year. They just look like an average team, and average teams are up and down. They lose to the good teams, and they beat, more often than not, they beat the lousier teams. And that's exactly what this win streak has been. 4 straight against Colorado, right? Won 4-0. Then they went to, was it LA right after that and lost 3 or 4? Was that?
No, they went to Cincinnati, right?
No, right after Colorado, or was Colorado? Yeah, they lost to LA first. Then they lost 3 or 4 to the Dodgers. Then went to Colorado, came here. They won 4 in a row. Went to Cincy, won 2 of 3. Went to Washington, won 3 of 4. Now they've come home and they're 2-4 on the trip, on the homestand. 2-4. And they need to be 4-2 right now, is what they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they needed to win one of the first 2 games that were winnable.
Yeah, we had talked about, and everybody had talked about what they needed to go. I don't know if this was after the Dodgers series or after the trade deadline or after the All-Star break, but they needed to play 600 ball. And they're not playing 600 ball. I think they have a winning record after the All-Star break. I think they're 14-12 now. But that's not what you need to do. You needed to play 600 ball. You needed to win. You needed to at least split the series with the Braves. It would have been nice to win 3 out of 4, but it's going downhill. And to me, this team looks kind of mentally overwhelmed. We saw it last night with Bob Melvin bunting Fitzgerald. That was a horrible call with Fitzgerald up. If it was Conforto, if it was Yaz, if it was Wisely, I could see it. But Fitzgerald's your hottest hitter. He has an argument, at least. I'm not saying he is, but he has an argument for Rookie of the Year. I think he'll finish in the top 5 voting.
I think he's about 5th. I think you're going to have to be looking at Merrill and Jackson Merrill of the Padres. You're looking at Paul Skeens. Who else is in there? Jackson Churio up there.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't see enough. Well, if he keeps it up, he could get into the top 3. If he what's he at? 13 homers or 12?
I think he's at 14.
14
tonight. I think so. Yeah, 14 tonight.
If he may end up with 23 to 25. If he ends up with 23 to 25 homers, he's going to get a lot of votes.
How many stolen bases does he have this year?
About 10, I think.
He has 12. So he could make a run for a 2020 season, his rookie campaign. That would be nice. But I mean, going back to my point, I think this team looks mentally overwhelmed. That little hot streak, it was the Rockies, the Reds, the Nationals, all teams under 500, all teams that are as well struggling, all teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. And this is just time after time we've seen them beat the bad teams and lose to the good teams. They now have a record of 25 and 36. Might be 25 and 37 now against teams over 500.
Wow.
So they're just not beating the good teams. They're not beating the teams that are going to make the playoffs. And I think if you think this team is going to make the playoffs, then you don't know what you're talking about. Because Dan, you see it, I see it, a lot of the chat sees it. This team's going nowhere. And it's
Robert Rothberg, that eternal optimist. We love Robert, man. We got to keep Robert in here because he keeps us balanced. Because that man will never give up. I love it. You know, you'd probably, if Robert Rothberg was your dad, you'd probably feel pretty encouraged. I bet you'd feel like, I bet you Robert Rothberg's kids think, Dad, my dad is the greatest. He's always sees the positive in us.
He's an optimist.
Robert, I like that a lot about you, Robert. And no shade here, but I will just say this. Your baseball optimism, I hate to tell you, is probably, well, you know, I don't know what to say. Maybe is this your son right here, Giovanni? Giovanni, you want to? Giovanni, I think it's really Giovanni. His last name is Rothberg. I think that's his dad, Robert and Giovanni. Yeah. Okay. Enough of the jokes. Everybody, root for the Giants. Go ahead.
Dan, should we talk about the Luciano getting sent down to AAA?
Well, let's do it. Let's first do a recap.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Let's do a recap of the game here. Let's bring up the box score. I got it right here. And we get rid of that. Okay, here we go. All right. So Fitzgerald had another good night, 2 for 5 with a homer, hitting .313. He's on base almost 37% of the time. Slugging is good. Wade, 1 for 4. He's down to 279. Ramos, you guys remember when I told you Ramos would end up somewhere between about 277 and 284? And I think I said he'd hit 22 to 23 homers. Okay, just remember that. And I also told you that Patrick Bailey would hit around the 240 mark. And I told you Chapman would be in the 220 to 240 range, depending on. I just want to remind you guys that, and you can remind me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, because I say I'm not Nostradamus, and I don't have a crystal ball on all this, but I'm basing this on 54 years of watching baseball. I don't just watch the Giants. I watch a lot of teams, and you can see players that have certain swing path issues, and you can see how to get certain players out. You guys should check out somewhere on Twitter. There was a great little video of Greg Maddux. Did you see that, Bora? Greg Maddux and Bonds, 1998. They were both looking at like iPads, and they were talking different places about what they saw, remembering an at bat.
If you haven't watched that, you should watch that.
Did you see it? Oh, in fact, it might be on my Twitter. I don't know if I reposted that. If it is, you'll have to play it. It's classic. Getting back to the Encarnacion, he just came in, scrub time. Conforto 2 for 2, hitting 237. Chapman 0 for 3. Casey Schmidt got into the ball game when it was over. Got an at bat, got a hit. Fielded the ball cleanly at third. Yaz, I don't know what was worse, his batting or his pitching tonight, but 0 for 4. But he didn't strike out. That's good. Bailey got a double. That was good to see. Wisely followed that double with a seeing eye single in the hole between first and second. And Grant McCray, welcome to the major leagues. His first at bat was tough. Three
strikes, 3 pitches.
None of them, only 2 of them. One of them was a strike, I think. But you know what? He's young. He's pressing. He's nervous. But buddy, I wish you well. Get used to platooning up here.
Have a couple more bad games and you're going to be sent down to AAA again.
Yep. You're probably up here because of the matchups for this next few games. My guess is he's on the bench tomorrow with the lefty Fried going. My guess is the outfield will consist of Ramos in center, Conforto in left, and they don't have another righty, do? Oh,
Encarnacion,
yeah. He'll be out there in left field, and they'll put Ramos in right or center, and no, yeah,
he'll be in right.
Conforto, and Encarnacion and right. That's probably your lineup tomorrow. Canna at first base, second base Casey Schmidt, shortstop Fitzgerald, third base Chapman, catching Casale. That's your lineup for tomorrow, okay? Good luck. And so stars of the game tonight, standout performances. I mean, what? Maybe Conforto 2 for 2 and pitching.
I can tell you who it's not pitching.
Yeah. It's not Robbie Ray. And it's not Eric Miller. Ray.
It's not anybody. Everybody allowed a run.
Did anybody not allow a run? Nope. Everybody did. Look at that. Everybody. You know what? The stars of the game, I'm going to give it to who you got? You want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. I'm going to give the star of the game, I'm going to give it to a combo because they had to endure this for 2 hours and 20 some odd minutes. I'm giving the stars of the game to Krukenkipe tonight.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to go. You read my mind.
Oh, man. Yes. That's hilarious. Hey, we got a new member. All right. Cliff Martinez. Oh, man. New member joining NorCal Sports Network. Gets all of his comments posted up on the board as they come in. Hopefully all of them, but Cliff has been a long time follower, supporter of NorCal Sports, and he's going to throw out $4.99 a month, and that is much appreciated, Cliff. Really do. George, I might sub to want to help Dan. All right. Okay. I thought I read that wrong, George. I see George says might sub to want to help Dan out. I thought I was reading I might sub to want to get Dan out. I was like, get him off the show. Thanks, George. Appreciate that. Robert Rothberg says, can I predict the next 6 games? Kind of hard to predict 6 games in a row. Robert, I try to predict them one game at a time. And a lot of times I don't even predict them just moments before the game. Seriously, I think about it. I look at the matchups. I look who's pitching, what kind of success hitters have had off that pitcher and vice versa. And then I look at the intangibles. I look at some of the I don't look at just X's and O's like you would say in a football game or in a baseball game. I don't just look at, the numbers back and forth. I also look at where a team's at emotionally, mentally. And
they're not going 6-0, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's kind of where I look at things. Hey, well, by the way, Buy Victor donates $2. Robert Rothberg, 39 game winning streak coming. There we go. Thanks, Buy Victor. Robert, that ought to make you feel better. All right. Hey, thanks, Buy Victor. That's great. And we welcome in. Oh, he's already in. I just saw him at the bottom and Bora moved him in. All right. We welcome in.
What's up?
Great Cody B from Even Year Dynasty Show. Cody is, if you guys haven't checked his show out, got to check it out. He's been pretty accurate nailing this right along with NorCal Sports Network. If you've watched ball long enough and been around teams and been around winning teams, been around losing teams in your own life, you can kind of go off your experience. I played for winning teams, and when we were winning, we felt like we were unbeatable. And I've been on losing teams, and there was a feeling like you just didn't have the confidence when you walked it between the line. You just kind of like, crud, another game. There really is that mentality of when Charles Barkley is on TNT and talking about the last 5-6 games of a basketball season. And when he says they're going to Cancun, players are mentally checked out, and Giants aren't mentally quite checked out all the way yet, but they are teetering on the belief system because they've done this now for 123 games of up and down, up and down, up and down. And after a while, you go up and down, up and down, up and down. You start to believe, hey, this is us. You don't have that mentality. Hey, we're gonna put together 10 in a row. We got the people in here to do it. Part of the problem is Cliff, I love it. Can I get part of that $4.99 back to stop hearing Giants for the rest of the night? My goodness. I love it. Anyway, that's a joke, by the way, if you know Cliff. But guys, let's I think I can only talk so much, Cliff, myself. I get it. I can only talk so much about this club because I saw them losing the last 3. Thought they might pull one out tonight. Tomorrow, with Webb going, I'm not so convinced. And the reason I'm not convinced, I think Webb's going to come out and pitch his best, and he's going to want to put a stop to this because he's the leader of this team. But I think the Braves realize we can put him away. And the Braves now know what it's like to lose a lead, right? The Braves were number 1 wild card. They went from the number 1 wild card with a pretty good cushion to last week. They were looking up at the wild card. And they lost a tough game Sunday. They were up 8-2 in the 8th inning. and Atlanta choked it. Luke Jackson gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th, and then a couple more guys scored, and all of a sudden it was 9-8. Atlanta lost, and they come in, and your ace, Chris Sale, pitches a shutout, and they win, and then they win last night, and then they crush them tonight. They are feeling good. If you look at some of the emotions, you play the emotions going back and forth, I think you're looking at possible sweep tomorrow. But if anybody can stop it, it would be Webb, and it would be a Webb gem tomorrow if the Giants win. Only way I see the is if Logan Webb gives up 1 run or less and goes maybe 8 tomorrow. I think.
Yeah. Robbie Ray tonight did not look good. What did he go? 2/3, 5 earned runs, 3 walks. I think. Just this is yeah. Hit a bunch. Hit 2 people. This is why, Farhan, you don't say you have the best rotation in baseball. You just keep your mouth shut and you let them play it out, because you cannot bank on Robbie Ray, Kyle Harrison, and Hayden Birdsong, 2 of those guys who have pretty much reached their innings max in their whole careers, and Robbie Ray, who's coming back from arguably the most serious injury a baseball pitcher can have. He was out like a year and a half. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Alex Cobb today. 5 1/3, 1 earned, or 5 2/3, 1 earned run, 3 Ks. He would be a valuable asset to the Giants right now. The Giants could have a 6-man rotation. They could be doing a bunch of different things with Alex Cobb. And they gave him away for nothing, and they paid him they gave him the qualifying offer, whatever that was, to just do nothing and waste their money. It's a repeat process every year of what they do. And it's I don't see it getting better, and it's disheartening to watch, just because we want to root for this team and we want to see them succeed, but you just can't do it. You can't. It's so hard to watch. I mean, I don't think I watched the whole game. I was in and out. It's really tough to watch.
This is pretty funny. Even you're done. You should not much to say about it. You said it all.
I think it's a response. It's a response to I had to buy Victor. It's a little bit up there.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Because he said, I think we all need to laugh more, or else it's just demoralizing. And I said, if you don't laugh, it's just sad.
Yeah. Wow. They go 61-58. All the casuals get excited. I start getting people trolling me on Twitter saying, "Oh, this guy blocks you if the Giants go on a winning streak." And I had to chuckle and said, "Yeah, I'm blocking you because the Giants are on winning, right?" I said, "If I blocked you, it's because you're being you were either are or were or are both a belligerent, you know what." And I was like, "Come on, dude. If I'm going to block you, it's because I don't have time for trolls." But this is just a young team, and it's got some veterans that really are kind of, I don't want to say washed up completely, but they're on the other side of good. Okay. they're on the wrong side of good. Okay. And I'm talking about guys like Yaz, Canna, Conforto. Conforto's still okay. I think they screwed with Conforto this year. I really do. I think they messed up Conforto by just platooning him. You know what? The guy's a veteran. He's a pro. He's got power. They just don't play guys. They don't know how to play these guys. And
I liked before the season, instead of getting Soler, I had liked the idea of having Conforto DH, at least half the time, and just shuffling him through there.
Maybe, it just let him hit. The guy is a former 30 HR home run guy, and he showed a lot of flashes, and they just don't give guys enough at bats to get in a rhythm. And we're going to talk about that coming up here when we finish the little bit of the wrap. We'll get into the Luciano thing coming up, and we'll cover that. But I don't know. So what do you guys make of tonight's performance? Is it one that you just say, it was a, like in basketball, you lose a 1-point heartbreaker at the buzzer, or you get blown out by 40. Which one is a little easier to swallow? Losing by 40, you just chalk it up. We just not a good night. Come back, the next game will be better. Or losing a, like you say, a buzzer beater that's a heartbreaker. That what do you think tonight? Is losing tonight detrimental, demoralizing, or is it just you chalk it up and say, okay, we got a game in just over 14 hours?
I think if it would have been, they were, when they were kind of rolling a little bit for 2 weeks, if they would have had a game like this, I think we could have easily just been like, yeah, all right, they were due for a stinker. It's bad game, happens. The fact that they're at a point in a part of their schedule where it's a lot of must win, and they at least won the series against Detroit, but they really lost a game, that third game, that they at least should have had go to extras at worst. I mean, they had so many opportunities that they just.
You're talking Sunday against Detroit?
Yeah, against Detroit. Yeah. And then you follow up with that with 2 games against Atlanta that they're following that Detroit game where their situational hitting was just atrocious in all 3 of those losses that they had. And then they come in today and it's just piling on. And it's like the fact that this is how they're playing when their backs kind of against the wall where they have to make a move because this is where the schedule was set up for them to make that move. I mean, realistically, the schedule was set up for them to be 8 to 10 games over 500 by the end of the month if they just took care of the teams they should, and then at least split against Atlanta and then didn't fall on their face against, Milwaukee and Seattle. Like they could have played 500 against Atlanta, Milwaukee, Seattle, and had a chance to still be 8 to 10 games over. And just for them to put this product on the field the last 4 games, just an embarrassment. Like
it absolutely is.
Given where they're at.
So. You want to take a look at this, where they're at, guys, right here. And we'll get this pulled up right now. 1 sec. There we go. All right. Can you guys see my cursor over here?
Mm-hmm.
Moving around? Okay. The Giants were right here. 1 game. When did they go one? When were they 1 back? They right here. Right? They went 1 back here, and then the 7th and 8th they ended up going 1 over. Yeah, they were 500 on the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were 1 over on the 8th, 2 over, 3 over on Saturday, the big 10-year celebration of the 2014 team. And then they gave it 1 back, 2 back, 3 back, 4 back. They're exactly where they were on the 6th of August, record-wise, 1 under, but they've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. So they've wasted 8 games. And I wonder where they were 8 games ago on the 6th of August in the standings. Do you guys remember?
I can pull it up if you want.
Yeah, pull that up. I'm curious if they've gained any ground since
they're right around 3 back, I think.
Because Atlanta was in the midst of losing.
Right, so
how many games? 4.5. Yeah, they've definitely lost ground. They were at worst
August 6th.
Back.
This is current. We go to August 6th.
Yeah.
57-58, 9.5 games back at the West, 4.5 in the wild card.
So they've actually gained 1 game. No, wait. They're
They were
4.5
the
back
same.
now, right?
Yeah.
Are they 4.5 out or 5.5 behind the Braves?
4.5.
Okay, so they've 8
They're the
games.
same in the wild card, but they're 2 more games back in the division.
Yeah. So 8 games. That's why every game counts. Every game that ticks off the schedule is less opportunity. Remember when we were looking at the playoff odds and they were like 12.9, and then we forgot to look at it a few days ago before Sunday. I bet you they were around 25-30%.
We should have.
Dang. Can we go back and see it? Would it Can we go back?
We can figure it
When
out
they were
right
like
now.
3 games over 500. When they were 3 games over, I checked and they were still only like 12.9%.
Really?
In the playoff. Yeah, that was on Pacoda.
Here are their
Okay.
playoff odds right now on Fangraphs.
Is this after tonight or before tonight?
This is after tonight, or I don't even know if this is after tonight. This might be before today. But they're 4.7% to make the playoffs.
Whoa.
If we can go, I don't want to. The 6th. Do you want to go, or when were they 2 games over 500?
After Saturday. Check. Yeah. Saturday the 11th.
They were 16%.
And they're down to 4.7 now.
Mm-hmm.
See what they were on the 12th, if that includes the games on the 12th, because it should have dropped after they lost. If
12.4.
And what were they before on Saturday? You said
16.
Okay, so it dropped. So they reached a high when they went 3 over. They got up to 16%. They're down to like 4.7, guys. That is very long odds. These odds makers, they're not just looking at everything. They're looking at advanced schedules, they're looking at injuries, they're looking at so many things because people put money on this stuff and they don't want to be wrong. So TN says in their last 4 games, they've dropped 14%. Yeah, because they're playing the team right in front of them. And they're now 6 back in the loss column. They are only 4.5 out, but 6.5 or 6 in the loss column. Guys, it's an uphill battle. Even if they beat the Braves tomorrow, they got to still make up 5 games somehow in the loss column. So, they're to me, Cody and Bora. They're to me what they've shown here. I was saying the way they were playing, 3 over, 4 over. If they could get to 6, 7 over before they go to Milwaukee or Seattle, if they could somehow manage that, they would have a fighting chance to, make it. And I was thinking, even then, they're probably best an 83 to 85 win team max. Now they're back to that team that's looking like they're going to struggle to make 500. The schedule's brutal.
And then do you want to, let's look at that September schedule.
I got it right here. You got it, or I got it right here?
You got it.
Okay, let me pull it up here.
Yeah, they're venturing awfully close to play the kids' territory.
Yes,
calling it good. I mean,
do you think they even do that though? Like, are we? I'm not convinced they're ever going to call it, because we'll get into Luciano, but what Farhan said, and then they give him 21 at bats and just send him down again. I don't think we're ever going to see play the kids' territory.
They've talked about how in the past, like if the record dictates it, that they'll go that route. We saw it a bit last season at the very, very, very end of the season, where the last week and a half they just played the young guys. If they don't, win tomorrow and then just club Oakland and Chicago, like if they're 3-4 games under with the schedule toughening, I could easily see them start playing McRae regularly,
playing Schmidt.
Yeah, playing Schmidt more frequently. I mean, Chapman's going to get to play it out. Like, they're not going to like stop playing Chapman, but just playing some of these guys more and more. And then, when September 1st rolls around, they'll be able to pull another position player back up. So it wouldn't shock me if, whether that's Marco or someone else, it wouldn't shock me if they do drop 5-6 games under after the good part of the schedule where they had a chance. I would be kind of surprised if they didn't start playing those guys.
Cody, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit, just because I've just seen it too many times where they'll go under 500 for like 5-6 games even, and then they'll have this mini winning streak that'll get all the fans' hopes high up, and they'll be hovering around 500. And then there's hope that someone will lose in the wild card. There'll be a couple games back of the wild card, and it's just going to be this constant up and down. Like Dan and I have said all season, it's just going to be this constant up and down, up and down, up and down. And I mean, I would love to see the kids just get a month of run. See what they can do in a month. I don't want. I think
the trouble is here's an issue with Bora this year. Is the wild card teams look for, pretty formidable. You're looking at, I think, San Diego and Arizona winning 90 games each. And I mean, they're already at 69 wins, 21 more wins, and that's about 500 close to 500 for them the rest of the way. And then you've got Atlanta that is going to be trying to catch them. And they've just got Michael Harris back tonight. Yeah. That's going to make we saw the impact right away, but you're going to have Harris back, and now you've got, Soler went down with a strain. I think he probably did it leaping for that Fitzgerald home run ball. He strained his hamstring.
Probably.
And, who knows what they'll do with him. And then you've got, you're still going to have to catch the Mets. Cardinals got a veteran team. They still could catch fire. Cubs, I've said it from the very beginning of the season, so I'm not going to change. I have the Giants finishing in the third tier of teams, and that would be 11th. And so if you took the 6 teams in the wild card right now, and then you took the Mets at 7, Cardinals 8, and you took, what did I say? The Mets, Cardinals, maybe the Cubs 9, maybe the Giants finished 10. Pittsburgh seems to really be fading. They've lost like 9 in a row or something. I could still see Pittsburgh coming back. They're a young team and getting on a win streak, but I don't think the Pirates are going to make it. I think the 3 teams that are making the playoffs are the 3 teams right now. I don't see anybody catching the Diamondbacks and the Padres. What are the Giants behind them right now? Like 8, 9, 8 at least?
Yeah, I think it's 9.
8.5. I think it's 8.5. Yeah, 8.5. They're 8.5 behind both teams. So the Reds are coming. Okay, did I say the Reds? I said St. Louis. Who else? We got to look back. St. Louis, the Mets, that's 2, Cincinnati 3, Cubs 4. Yeah, I think all 4 of those teams finish ahead of the Giants. I think the Giants finish 11th. I really do. I see the Giants could get to the point by September. Canna gets DFA'd. They bring up Hunter Bishop to take his roster spot, and they say, okay, we're going to go with Bishop and Matos and McRae and Ramos. Those 4 guys will get the playing time. One of them will DH. And they're just going to start playing these guys because you got to figure out what they have. You got to get them over 100. You got to get those guys at bats. Ideally 200 at bats would be nice. But hey, Jesus, Thank you for the donation. $2 says Giants will be 66-62 after White Sox series. They're 60. What are they? 61-62 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying they're going to win 5 of the next 6. So that means he's got them winning.
I think he's missing one game. I think there would need to be one more.
Yeah, there's 5
because they got 6 more games between now and then.
And they're 61-62. Wait a minute.
So it'd either be 66 and 63.
That's right.
or
That's
60.
right. That's 6 games. Tomorrow's the 6th game.
Okay,
2 against Oakland, 3 against the White Sox, and then 1 against the Braves. 6 games.
Are they 60-61 or are they 61-62?
They're 61-62 right now.
Yeah, so if they win 5 and 6, go 5 and 1, they'll be 66-62.
66-63.
Yeah.
Oh, right. You're right. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah. So he's got him being 67-62. He either means 67-62 or 66.
I mean, they need it. they're removing their margin for error.
Now, this team has never won more than 4 games in a row. They have lost as many as what? 5 or 6? I don't know what their longest losing streak is. I know it's not more than 6. Ooh, I like what Bora's bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that from? Is that from KMBR or Twitter? Or?
Yeah, Twitter, KMBR.
Okay, because I know we got dinged last night for playing that MLB thing.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, so looking at the schedule, take a look, guys. You got Atlanta tomorrow, and you got a day off Friday. You got 2 with Oakland, 3 at home with the White Sox, and then it gets really tough the rest of the way with a 3-game reprieve against Miami. That's it. So you've got 39 games left. After tomorrow, let's see, after they finish with the White Sox, they'll have what, 33 games left? 39 left minus 6. Yeah, 33. They are 61 and 62.
They're 61-62, and they are 25-36 against teams over 500. Look at the September schedule. Arizona, 3 against Arizona. Arizona's over 500. 3 against San Diego. San Diego's over 500. 3 against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's over 500. San Diego's over 500. Baltimore's over 500. Kansas City's over 500. Arizona's over 500. St. Louis is 1 game under 500. So St. Louis is the only team under 500, and they're 1 game under 500. They're in the playoff hunt right now. They're in the wild card hunt. So, I mean, all of these teams are either in the playoffs or are within a couple games of the playoffs. And we've already seen the Giants struggle against playoff teams so far this year. I don't see it happening.
What do you see the winning the worst wild card record, Cody, being? Oh, he stepped out. Okay. What do you think, Bora? How many wins is it going to take for the Giants to get in?
Okay, so Atlanta is the 3rd wild card spot right now. They have 64 wins. And how many games do we have left? 39?
39.
So if they win 20 games, that's 84.
How many games? The Braves have played 3 less games than the Giants, though.
Okay, so they have 42 games left.
Right. So if they go 21-21, what's their record?
They're 64-56.
Okay, so let's say they go 21-21 and end up at 85 wins. The Giants have to get to 86 because the Braves own the tiebreaker.
I could see the Braves going I could see them winning 25 games and it being 89 wins because, I mean, the Braves are getting Michael Harris back. They're not getting Strider back. They're not getting Acuna back. I don't know when Alsbees is coming back, if he's coming back. But this series against the Giants makes me think that they're kind of turning it on at the right time.
Yep.
You said it earlier, Dan. They realize what they need to do. They realize they need to turn it on. They need to step on the gas. And I think they're going to do it. It wouldn't shock me if they win 25-26 games the rest of the way. And it's a 3-way race for that first wild card spot. I don't think it's going to take 85 or 86 wins. I think it might take 87 or 88 to get in the wild card.
Yeah, let's just take a look at this. Let's see if let's do this. All right, we've looked at the Giants' schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at the Braves' schedule, what they've got remaining. Okay, they got the Angels for 3. Then they got home for Philly, Washington at home, Minnesota, Philly. So those are tough. That's 3, 6. There's 9 tough games there. But look at their September schedule. How much easier it is than the Giants. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days off, which helps set up their rotation. They've got Colorado and Toronto, 6 games, 8 games with Washington. And then you got Miami for 3. That's 11. They got 11 winnable games in September, with most of them at home. Colorado for 3, Toronto for 3. Well, I guess it's kind of split. Washington and then Miami on the road. They've got how many games left? They've got 1, and then they got 3. That's 4, 7, 10, 13, 17, 20, 23, 25. 4-game series with the Dodgers. Wow. At home. 25, 29, 32, 35, 37. They've got 40 left.
40 left. Okay.
They might have a makeup game. What's their record?
64 and 56 is it? Let me go back to it real quick. They are 64 and 56. Yeah. So if they go 20 and 20,
but they've got 42 games left.
42?
So they got 40 on the schedule. That means they have 2 games that maybe got rained out that don't know where those games were. But that tells me that if they go 21 and 21, let's just kind of play this out. They got to go 21 and 21, right? That gives them 85 wins. Giants or the Braves hold the tiebreaker. That means the Giants have to win 86 games. The Giants have 39 games left, and they've won 61, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they need to go 25 and 14, and that's 641 ball. 25 and 14 just to get to 86, assuming Atlanta goes 21 and 21.
It's not happening, guys. It's not happening. I'll give it to you straight. There is a 0% chance that the Giants make the playoffs. With what we just said, Braves only needing to go. The Braves only have to play 500 ball to win 86 games.
85. But the Giants have to win 86 because the Giants, the Braves hold the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm. The Braves just have to play 500 ball to get to 85. The Giants have to play 641 ball?
641 to get to 86 wins.
To get to 86 with our September schedule, it's
if
not
the
happening.
Braves if the Braves go 22 and 20, now the Giants have to win 87 games.
Mm-hmm. They go 23 and 19. Giants have to win 88. They go 24 and 18. The Giants have to win 89. They go 25 and 17. The Giants have to win 90 games.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't see them catching Arizona, because they basically have to, by catching Arizona or San Diego, they have to sweep them.
Should we look at Arizona and San Diego schedules too?
We could do that.
I can pull it up.
You pull up Arizona, or which one you want to pull up?
I'll pull up Arizona.
All right. I'll do San Diego here.
All right, Arizona. So they just swept the Rockies. They get a day off tomorrow. They have a 3-game series against the Rays. Then they play a 3-game series against the Marlins, 3-game series against the Red Sox, Mets, Dodgers to finish it out in August. Then in September, 2 games against the Dodgers, 3 against the Giants, 3 against the Astros, 2 against the Rangers, 3 against the Brewers, 3 against the Rockies, 4 against the Brewers, 3 against the Giants, 3 against the Padres. So the Diamondbacks actually have kind of a tough schedule as well.
But how many games? They're 69 and what? 53?
They're 8.5 games above the Giants right now.
Okay, but they're 69 and 53. So they played 122. They've got 40 left.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they're 69. Let's say they go 18 and 22.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them 87 wins. Depending on the tiebreaker with the Giants are still going to have to win at least 87. This is not going to happen.
Do we think the Giants win 80 games?
I think they win 78 to 79 in there, right in there. It's kind of where after this 4-game stretch, they've, I thought maybe where they were playing, they might be able to get to 83 wins, 84. I don't see, I think this is a 500 team at best.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be right around there, 78 to 81, right in there. So that's the schedule for the Diamondbacks. Now let's take a look at the Padres. If you want to go ahead and remove that one, we'll bring up the San Diego Padres schedule. All right. Padres are playing right now.
The day after today.
Wait a minute. Is this year? What year is this?
This is not this year.
25. I'm like, they don't play the.
Here, wait. Is that on MLB's?
Yeah.
Just go to their page and go to schedule on the top. Oh, do they not have it?
There it is.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Okay. So where are we at? Is this August?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they just
swept the Pirates.
So they got the Rockies for 3 in Colorado. Then they come back home for 3 with the Twins and then 4 with the Mets, 4 in St. Louis. And then it looks like, let me go to September. We got 3 with Tampa Bay. And then they come back home. They got the Tigers for 3 with a day off on a Tuesday. What the heck's that?
That's weird.
Huh. Then they got the Giants at home. Then they go to Seattle and then to San Francisco. Then they got Houston, the White Sox for 3, the Dodgers for 3, and the D-backs close it out. Again, they're winning games they have to win. These teams can, because they built a cushion, they can actually play under 500 the rest of the way, go 18 and 22, and still win 87 games. I don't see anybody catching any one of these teams.
I don't see it either. And the D-backs against 500 teams or better are 27 and 28. Padres are 31 and 29. So they're right around 500 against teams over 500. They're going to hold their ground.
Yep. Only thing the Giants are good for nowadays, Cliff says, is putting them to sleep. The one good thing that could come out of this is the one thing we've been hoping for and pushing for the last 2 years, is that the Giants fall so far flat on their face that the pressure, the actual weak Bay Area media, I'm talking beat writers, there's a few people out there putting pressure on the Giants. Over there at 95.7 The Game, more and more of the hosts are doing it, which is great. Sometimes Brian Murphy will do it at KMBR. I was listening a little bit of the postgame tonight on NBC Sports Bay Area, and I thought to myself, Greg Papa, what a tough job. You got to sit here and act like trying to look for a silver lining in all this. And you're like, well, he's going, this team, he's talking to Romo and I think it was George Contos. He says, well, that 14 team where was that? You guys were a lot of games far back. And, this team has a lot of heart like the 14 team. And Sergio Romo said, this team's and the 14 team are nothing alike.
Good for
he said,
Romo.
He said that team, I'm surprised he probably won't have a job, but he said that team made some trades and brought in some guys that really helped us. And it changed the dynamics of the club, the confidence of the club. And, basically, he's just basically saying, look, Farhan brought in nothing. Mark Canna. Okay. Yeah. He won you what? One game, maybe two with his, but Mark Canna is not the answer, guys.
Farhan's offseason wasn't bad. Dan, it was a decent offseason. They got Soler, they got Chapman, they got Snell. They got Ray. It was a decent offseason. It was a pretty good offseason. They spent, I think, the second most money.
But it was money that was not. I wasn't against the moves. The move I was against was Murphy, and I was against the Chapman move as far as what the club really needed. I got to say he's been good for the team. They're probably even worse without him. But I didn't expect this team to compete anyway. So what I was saying is you got to play your young guys to see what you have, because you either develop these young kids and you find out what they have, or you move off of them and you go in a different direction. But we don't know if Casey Schmidt can play. We just don't. He hasn't been given a shot. We don't know if Luciano can play. He hasn't been given a shot. And we don't know if Matos can play. We saw he could play for a really, really great for a week, and then he struggled and they sent him down. We don't know what those three guys are capable of because they're not getting playing time. I've said all along, I think Brett Wisely is like a 4A player. He's an okay guy, but he's not the answer for.
We were texting about it tonight.
Yeah. We'll bring Cody back in here. All right, Cody. We're going to get to Cody's minor league report here coming up in just about 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll wrap up with that. But we're going to get to the Marco Luciano because we're on this subject right now of this club. Cody, while you were gone, we pulled up the schedule for the D-backs and the Padres and the Giants. And we pretty much figured out, and the Braves, we pretty much looked at it. It's very unlikely because the Braves have 42 games left. They are what, 64? What, 66? What's their record, Bora?
Who, the Braves? 64 and 56.
Okay. Braves are 64 and 56. If they go 500 ball, just 500, 21 and 21, that gives them 85 wins. The Giants have to win 86 to pass the Braves because the Braves hold a tiebreaker. So that means the Giants need to win 25 of their next 39 games, 641 ball. With their schedule, not happening. Not happening. If you
not without about a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So, and with San Diego and Arizona, they got 42 games left. They could go 18 and 22 or they have 40 games left. 40. Yeah. They could go 4 under and still win 87 games. So where's the math coming from with I think that's why the odds makers look at this and give them a 4.7% chance.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been saying. It's just the math doesn't work. Like unless they go on some big winning streak and they pull one out, which, I mean, I'll never say it can't,
I'll say it can't happen.
But yeah, I mean, it's stranger things have happened where they could randomly rip off 10, but I just don't see it happening. Like, I just don't.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Dan, you're muted.
Let's get into this Marco Luciano for a few minutes. I want to get your take. He was sent down today. He got 21 at bats. He had 17 at bats, and then he sat for 6 games. And they put him in. They decided, you know what? 6 games is really good for you. It prepares you for to face the Cy Young Award winner because you don't need any rhythm. Just get up there and give it your best shot, Marco. We've sat you on the pine for 6 games. Now you're ready to go. And we're just put you out there against Chris Sale. And then they send him down right after that. Are they sending him a message? They sent him down because he didn't run out the line drive?
Which is still the stupidest thing. I cannot believe how many people gave him crap for that. Like, I get it. I get people want to say, like, you need to hustle it out. But I mean, for all the Johnny Hustles out there, I would love to know how many of them ran out a line drive that they were sure that a guy caught. Like,
if you watch the play and you watch him run,
yes,
he sprints out of the box, and then as soon as he thinks it gets caught, he stops.
Right.
Yes.
So it's not like he was jogging the whole
player
way.
in the league does.
Exactly. Yeah.
He just misread it. He didn't know that the guy dropped it, and then he tried to pick it back up. But it's like, I mean, all these people that came out and like were bashing him and were like, it's like, what do you think these guys are going to do? They're going to hit a line drive, put their head down, and sprint to first, even if the guy had caught it 4 seconds earlier. Like, that's not how it works.
No.
No veteran or anybody in the league does that. So, like, it just, Mark, not that many guys do that. Not when it gets caught when they're like less than 2 steps out of the box. Like, these guys, when they if had it been, towards a shortstop or anybody like that, where he might have already turned his head back towards first, he probably runs it out. But the fact that he hit it on a line right at the third baseman and the guy, I mean, not right at him, but like to the side, and it looked like he caught it within like 2 steps of exiting the box. Nobody's sprinting that out. So, okay. I misread that. I thought you were saying a lot of players put their heads down and sprint to first no matter what.
I think he's saying a lot of players just stop.
Okay.
I mean, you know what? It's a natural reaction. You see it hit, you see the guy dive, and it's in his glove, and he's on the ground, and then you don't really see it pop out until it didn't pop out right away either.
It was kind of hit.
Yeah. And I think I would have done the same thing. Just saying.
I think everybody on the team would have done the same thing.
It's a natural reaction.
Exactly. If they were 100% certain that Austin Riley had caught that ball, and they thought Austin Riley caught the ball, you would stop.
Yeah. It's just the fact that he was getting bashed on like CanBR and stuff like that. I was like, dude, you guys are showing just such a lack of understanding for how this works and natural human reaction. Like,
no, exactly. Yeah.
It's just,
It's so what do you think? Is 21 at bats, like I said, 17 and then sitting 6 games after Farhan? You know what? You got it, Bora. Go ahead and let her rip. It's from Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm. It's from Twitter.
All right.
Let's just listen to this and let's hear the lies.
Is Luciano going to get any shortstop time, you think?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Obviously this is really about getting him at bats in the DH spot. I don't think we're kind of putting in ink that he's a career DH now. Obviously he's young. We've talked about his defensive progress. So there may be spots where he moves around the infield, but this is the role for him right now.
Is Luciano going to get any shortstop?
He didn't get 1 game in the field.
No, he didn't. All his games were at DH.
He was up for 2 weeks and he didn't get 1 game in the field, and he only played like 6 or 7 games. I mean,
21 at bats. 21 at bats.
Does anybody believe this guy when he speaks?
Why should you?
I mean, my goodness.
It's a used car salesman.
And the Giants are going to put their faith and hope and trust in this guy for the 25 season. This is year 6, and it's going to be 5 out of 6 where you're 500 or below.
And like, this is the stuff that pisses me off with Farhan. Like, it's not even the, a lot of times people will get mad where they're like, oh, I thought he said he was done signing guys when he would like go out and sign someone out. Like, that's normal GM talk. Like, a lot of that stuff, like, that's normal when they're like, oh, we like the team we have, and they're just totally posturing, and that they're still looking to make moves or whatever, like that stuff. And people go, oh, he's lying. And it's like, yeah, who cares? Every GM lies about that kind of stuff. But it's this stuff that pisses me off. Where it's like, why even come out and say it? Why put your foot in your mouth and come out and say, we're doing this move in order to get Luciano an opportunity? And then now you're letting Melvin go out there and take the heat and be like, well, things change. Canna gave some good at bats and Encarnacion was swinging it well. And it's like, no, you guys never had any intention. Like, none. You gave him nowhere near an idea or enough time to get an idea of what you might actually have. It's just asinine. They did the same crap with Ramos, and they're doing it with other guys, and it's so old.
It's going to happen with McRae too. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And honestly, McRae, I was perfectly fine with let him play August out in Sacramento where he can play every day. And if you want to bring him up in September when there's the 14th man, if they had been in contention and then used him as like a, late inning defensive guy, pinch runner, all that stuff, because the AAA season ends like early September anyway. So it's not like he would have had a lot of games there. So like, had they done that, I'd have been like, yeah, that makes sense. He can be a useful bench piece down the stretch, and it's not like you're really costing him every day at bats or anything. But to pull him up now, like, you better play him. Otherwise, we're just wasting everyone's time.
Yeah, their service time, everything. And are you thinking, Cody, that if McRae, they play him through September and maybe he does decent, that he's a possible trade candidate? Because you got Lee coming back. Where's McRae going to play? You got Lee and Ramos. Are they trying to maybe say, hey, we're going to have to make some deals this offseason, whether that be who knows who it could be, Matos or whatever. But are they saying, hey, is McRae a guy that can play at this level, or are we going to move off of him eventually? Because I could see him bringing up Bishop too in September.
Yeah, I mean, it could be any number of things, honestly. Like, you could see him as, maybe they might view him as more like a reserve guy. Maybe if he shows enough, they might feel good about moving off of Yaz. Maybe they would trade him. They might feel that. I know that's kind of where you had sent the tweet earlier about burning his options. And my whole thing, because I replied to that, was just realistically, he's not going to get 3 years to figure it out. And he's only going to have 3 years of major league or minor league options. So this year and then the next 2 years. If in 2 years he hasn't established himself, he's going to be on the way out anyway. So for a guy like him, it doesn't matter as much as it does with like a guy like Luciano or some of the higher rated guys. If you burn it too early, like they did with Bart. So that's where I'm not as concerned with burning one of the options right now. And I do think they're going to try and figure out kind of what they have with him, because his hit tool is very questionable. He does have a lot of swing and miss. I mean, you go off the grading scale and he has a 40 hit tool, which is below average. And it's one of those that he has enough other tools that if he can figure out how to make consistent contact, or at least enough consistent contact, he could be a very explosive and electric player in the majors. It's just, that's a big question mark. I mean, at the very least, I think he can be a reserve if he can.
So I want to get back to this thing with Marco. Why did he come up, and why did they send him back down?
He came up because Jorge Soler got traded. And first of all, the whole Soler thing didn't make sense with me, because if you were going to sell Soler, you might as well have sold the entire team. You might have sold Snell, sold Chapman, sold Conforto, sold Yaz, sold Wade. You should have just sold the whole team, because by selling Soler, he was starting to get hot. He didn't have to play any defense. He was just an offense-only player, which would mean he's less likely to get injured, as we saw today.
Exactly.
In the game. He was starting to get hot. He was in that leadoff spot, so you weren't having to rely on him to hit with runners in scoring position, and he was actually fulfilling that leadoff spot really well. And you just supplement him with Marco Luciano, a 22-year-old rookie who has barely any time in the big leagues, and expect him to fill his shoes. It's just the expectation was just so unrealistic, and to think that Marco could have filled Soler's shoes, when Soler's an 8-year something veteran in the league and knows how to play the game. Marco's just starting to learn how to hit at the big league level. It was super unrealistic. And then you went out and got Mark Canha. I think, and Farhan said it himself, it was Melvin who got Canha pretty much. It wasn't Farhan. So I think I'm not going to make excuses for Farhan, but I think once they got Canha, it started to be that Marco wasn't going to get consistent reps. It was going to be Canha as well.
Well, and then they got Encarnacion. Like, is he the future? I mean, what are you doing with Luciano? I don't have anything against Encarnacion. But look, he's 26. He didn't do well with Florida or Miami, whoever the heck they were, and when he played with the Marlins. And he's got potential to be. I think Encarnacion he looks like a guy that maybe might be able to DH in the league or platoon. He's not an everyday player. Marco's 22, going to be 23 in September. He should be playing every day, whether it's in AAA or here in the big clubs. But you didn't even give him an opportunity. And then I hear people say, he basically gave, put the writing on the wall himself by going 4 for 21. Yeah. It's like you try
playing every other day.
Yeah. It's just, and his batting average is still higher than most of the rest of the team. What is his batting average? I bet it's like 275.
His batting average is 289.
280, even higher. Look, is anybody hitting 289 on the team besides Fitzgerald?
Ramos, maybe.
No, Ramos is down to 283.
It's just Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
So,
and Ramos will probably be like a 260 to 270 hitter in all reality.
Yeah,
I think so.
Maybe some adjustments. He could have some years where he's a little higher, but
I mean, I said he'd hit 275 to 283 or something this year. I shot high because he was hitting like 320 at the time. But I told you guys Bailey, when he was hitting 285, 290, he's going to fall back below 240. And he did. And, I said on this show many times, I have no problem with Patrick Bailey hitting 240. Just hit close to 240 most of the year. Don't get 3 something and then hit 0.50. You got to be a little more consistent. And you know what? I'm almost ready to say Bailey, he does okay. He hit the ball hard to those center field track last night on a line right-handed, but almost like to see him just focus on hitting left-handed, because he doesn't get enough at bats to when he plays. Rarely, it's the day they give him the off day when they're facing a lefty, because you can't play every game. So why not just go lefty and forget the right-handed? And he's a good hitter left-handed. If he, like tonight, he went to the opposite field, got a hit. You know what? Stop trying to pull it and just easy swing with your strong side and go with the pitch.
Did you see that Diaz on the Rockies got put on waivers?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking
the catcher.
Yeah, Elias Diaz. I was drawing a blank on his first name.
Okay.
Yeah, he got put on waivers, and I was thinking, had the team not just like
paid Murphy.
Well, I mean, I don't even care about paying Murphy. You get him on. Had
you're
the
talking
team,
about Bart.
Yeah, well, no, I was thinking, had the team not just like fallen on their face the last 4 days, that would not have been a terrible idea to try and go get a guy like him and bring him in and face all the lefties and, get Bailey out of the lineup for 2 or 3 days a week.
Well, they might be lower on the waiver wire now.
Yeah, but now it's like it's getting to the point. It's like now it's just kind of a why even bother? A few days ago it might have made sense, but no, I had the fun thought come to my head the other day of if the Giants were to, and I'm not saying they would because they obviously would not, but if the Giants were to call Pittsburgh straight up and say, we'll give you Bailey for Bart, would Pittsburgh say yes? Because I don't think they would.
I think they would, just because Bailey's defense is so valuable and Bart's sample size is kind of small. But I want to. That's a good point.
Sample size.
Going back to Luciano for a second, Farhan gave Casey Schmidt a long run last year. He gave him a run at short, and he started off hot, but he got to the point where he was pretty much unplayable, and they had to send him down. But I mean, how many games did Farhan or did Casey get? It was something like 20 to 30 games, right?
Where at what position?
Just playing every day.
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He came up and he was hot for 20 to.
Yeah.
And
it was out of necessity too, because Crawford was injured for so long.
Exactly, but Casey Schmidt has never been a top Giants prospect. He's been a good Giants prospect.
He's been a top
10. 100 at one point. He was like number 4 on their list last season.
Yeah.
Okay, my mistake. Luciano's been your number 1 prospect for
quite a while.
For quite a while. Some players need to get kind of special treatment wherever they're ranked. If they're getting paid a lot, if they're a highly touted prospect, some players need to play, and you need to find out what they can get. Farhan doesn't look at the player prospect ranking. He just sees a player and he's like, okay, if he's good for a couple weeks, then we'll test him out. If he doesn't perform right away, then he's just like any other player. Luciano isn't a Brett Wisely. He's not a Casey Schmidt even. He's been your number 1 prospect, and you need to give him a run. You can't just treat him like some 25th or 26th man on the roster. He's not your end of the roster type of guy. He's your number 1 prospect, and you need to see what you have in him. You can't just give him these short spurts worth 21 at-bats and scattered across 7 games or whatever it was. He needs to play, and you need to see what you can get with him.
Absolutely. I agree with Hiroku's statement here, too. I think Casey should be playing third. I think Chapman is on the way out one way or another at the end of this season. I think they might, Melvin and Farhan, they may. Seems like everybody loves Matt Chapman. Like he is the all-star. And I want to get into this because I was thinking this tonight. I watched Matt Olson play. I mean, 1 inning, all 3 outs were unassisted ground balls to first base. He makes stretches. He makes great plays at first base. He had 54 homers last year. They have Acuna, but he's out for the year. They got Riley, they got Harris, and they got Albies, and they got Olson. They've got star players. Where is a Giants star? Okay, I know Elliot Ramos made this all-star team, but where's the Giants' real legitimate star? Who is it? Where is he? It's not Matt Chapman. I'm sorry. Matt Chapman's a good player. He's a solid veteran player who would be the missing piece on some teams, like the Yankees, like maybe the Dodgers if they go without Max Muncy. Plug in Matt Chapman in that lineup, third base. He's going to be so valuable. He is your best player, all-around best player, I will say, if you take everything into consideration. And he is only been clutch in a handful of games. Only a handful of games. I can count him on one hand, maybe 5 times this year where Chapman has come through clutch. And it was, most of them were recently within the last road trip. Okay. And he had a great road trip. And then there was one other hot spell he had like a month and a half earlier. And that's it. He's had 2 hot streaks all year.
Yeah.
And
his clutch plays have all been defense, really.
Most of them have been defense. Right. I have no problem with Matt Chapman defensively. I have no problem with him on the bases, except the one mistake he made. Okay, I let it go. It's one mistake. Everybody's granted a mistake. Okay. I'm not going to say Matt Chapman's terrible base runner. He's an excellent base runner. He made a mistake, but he's not a clutch hitter. He's just not. And the Giants act like, and the announcers act like, and the press acts like Matt Chapman is here to save the day. They act like he's Barry Bonds, like he's, Kevin Mitchell, he's Will Clark. And he's not. And to me, unless you have stars on this team, Matt Chapman is not a fit. He's taking up a roster spot for one of your top prospects who you've said and touted in your press releases that Casey Schmidt is the next Matt Chapman defensively. And yet you don't even play him at third base. So this whole thing with Marco Luciano, Matos, we saw it earlier with Ramos last year. And then we saw it in spring training this year. They just send him down, don't even give him a shot to make the roster because we got Mike Yastrzemski that's got a job locked up. Are you serious? Mike Yastrzemski gets a locked up position and Elliot Ramos is like 24 and Yaz is like 33 going on 34 in a few days, I think. And he's like coming off of a 205 season where he's been hitting 205 to 220 for the last few years. And you give him a locked up position and you send Ramos down and say, you're not even getting to compete. In fact, we're going to go with Austin Slater over you. This is what I'm talking about with the mindset of Farhan. How in the world the ownership puts this guy in charge? It's not like you didn't have a guy who ran a club for 20 years and is a Hall of Fame resume and won 3 World Series championships and is recognized in baseball as one of the top 3 executives when he was in the game. And you let him go to bring this guy in and look what you get. My goodness, it's almost like I'm not going to get into politics. It's just, bring in anybody you want and they can just do the job because they've got a title. Golly, this is absolutely pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, for me with Chapman, like if they want to try and extend him in 3 or 4 years, like, and actually go out and get people, which I have zero faith in Farhan to do. If you want to do something bold and try and trade for Vladdy and try and get him extended, cool. If you actually want to go for it, I don't really mind keeping Chapman. But if we're going to just keep him and that's going to be like the big play,
he's the fish.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's a terrible move. I mean, tomorrow or next year, I'm going to be more upset if they go into next year and they do absolutely nothing to address second base, first base, or right field. I might lose it in the offseason. Like if they try and go, and I'm not saying all 3 of them need to be gone, but if they're going to go with the flayed platoon and Tyro and Yaz again, I'm going to lose it. I cannot.
Yeah,
deal with
I'll
those
I'll
3
say
in the
it.
lineup
I'll say
every
it
single
again.
day.
Say it again, guys. As long as Farhan is president of baseball operations and head of the baseball ops here in San Francisco, Giants will never win a thing. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't know how to build a roster. And like I said, if you want to go out, like I'm with you, Cody, you go get Vladdy Guerrero and then you sign Juan Soto. I'm all for Matt Chapman now because now Chapman's got 2 players that can mash and he can bat 7th as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he's hitting 7th, who cares? Like no one, or even 6th, like who cares? And even if they didn't get both those guys, like to me, if they just got Vladdy and you're just saying, hey, you know what, we're going to get Vladdy and then hopefully Eldridge is here in 2026 opening day, then
it's looking like that.
I can, yeah, I mean, the way he's playing, I mean, God, I thought there was no chance he'd see, double A this season. And now I'm starting to go, well, there's a chance they
You
give
know,
him a week or two,
I'd like to path I'd like to see him do, Cody.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him finish high A this year. Let him continue to mash.
Yeah.
Start him in double A next year. By June, if he's doing great, move him up to triple A and have him ready for the 26 season.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush him. He's a guy that I see people all the time. They're like, just get him up here. He couldn't be any worse than what we got. And it's like, I don't want to mess with his development. I don't want to start his clock unnecessarily early. I don't want to do any, like, just properly develop him, because I think he could actually be that difference making star that they've desperately needed for years. And I don't want to mess with it at all. So, like you said, get him in double A next season and let him progress from there. And I mean, I'm all for letting him basically dictate how fast he moves.
Right.
You know, if he goes to Richmond and he absolutely just obliterates the ball for 2 months and does the same thing to Sacramento, then yeah, you might just get forced into pulling him up early. But that's fine if it's based on his play. So
true statement here by Cliff, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. And look, guys, I know for a fact, okay? I know for a fact that Farhan, when he was hired by LA, they wanted to go in a different direction. Friedman had somebody else in mind, and they brought in Farhan because Kim Nang had left, and they wanted somebody, quote unquote, of that was more of a, how do you say, a minority hiring. Okay, not a white guy or white woman or whatever. So they went with Farhan. And then when the Giants came calling to LA was like, believe me, there was no trying to save Farhan from leaving and going to their rival. They were like, oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably knew, you know what? He's going to go to San Francisco, and because he's way over his head, they knew that he's going to just they become like no threat at all to the Dodgers. It's like, look how he's put it together an organization. Look what his first moves were. His first moves were going out and signing Connor Joe and Michael. I keep wanting to say Michael Phelps. Michael Reed starting opening day for Bruce Bochy's 2019 club. What do you think Boch was doing? I mean, does that not tell you that Farhan makes the lineups? I mean, we saw it with a few weeks ago. Somebody else was playing, and I'm like, oh, it was the guy Hill, Derek Hill. Yeah, Derek Hill's going to come here and start. I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't get it. And, you know, I don't, Melvin, something's weird with Melvin and Farhan. Either Farhan is calling the shots or Melvin's taking over and says, screw it, I'm not playing Luciano. He's not ready, and I'm playing the guys I want to play. But something tells me Farhan's directing that, because Encarnacion's playing, and Melvin probably never even heard of Encarnacion. I mean,
before Dan, we're still gonna, and Cody, we're gonna get into the minor league recap, right? Before we do that, I want to ask this question, because me personally, and I know Los feels this way. I haven't been too impressed with Bob Melvin at all. We were talking about it yesterday. Gabe Kapler had pretty much the same record with a worse roster last year and the years prior. I haven't been impressed with Melvin. He hasn't, in my opinion, he hasn't had good bullpen management, whether it's his players or the amount of pitches these players are throwing. But if, let's say Farhan gets the can after this year, right? Do we think Melvin stays with a new GM in town? Because to me, a new GM would want his guy. He would, if a new GM comes into town, he wants to pick his guy and he wants to dictate things from the top. And if that happens, and if Melvin isn't here, do we think Chapman's back for an extension? Because I think Chapman and Melvin have that good chemistry. I think so. I mean, let me ask you guys that question. If Farhan gets fired, do you think Melvin is back?
I think it would depend on who.
If it's an inside person like Petulia, or
let's say it's someone from a different team. It's not an inside hire.
I don't think so, unless management says, we've committed to a salary, and it's not like Melvin's a inexperienced schmuck as a manager. It's like, but I personally think a new GM who's worth his weight, who's an alpha, and you're going to want to hire an alpha, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
If you get an alpha in here, he's going to say, I want my own guy, or I'm not coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because an alpha is not going to put up, if he's got his own guy and he wants to run a system the way he knows he trusts, then that alpha GM is going to say, take me, or, because it's the same reason Bochy left, guys. Bochy left because he didn't get fired, but he knew he wasn't wanted, and he knew also he couldn't manage the way he wanted to manage with Farhan's ways. And so what he did is he just said, I'm going to retire because this isn't going to be fun being dictated a lineup, and he's not going to enjoy it. So he just said, I'll, leave and make it look like it's him retiring. The Giants basically, when they brought in Farhan, said goodbye to Brian Sabian and Bochy, that brought them the greatest period of ever in San Francisco baseball history. And they said, you're no longer needed.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much on record. Sabian's pretty much said that.
Yeah. I think to kind of, to answer your question, kind of my opinion, it just depends on the hire. Melvin is well respected around the league, and there's a lot of people that I could see feeling like that's the best they could really do. But like Dan said, there's a lot that would probably have certain coaches in mind that they might want to bring in instead. So it just kind of depends. And before I get everybody going at me about saying that about Melvin, my thing with Melvin is I think this is a Kapler roster. Like, this is a roster built for a guy like Gabe Kapler, where the analytics above all else, he's going to do exactly what they tell him.
Great point.
100% of the time. Let the spreadsheet dictate every decision he ever makes without fail, and he'll never use feel ever in a game. Like, that's what the roster feels like. And Melvin, while he uses the analytics, is definitely more of a, he does like to have his feel in games. And I just don't think he has a feel for a team with a bunch of players with undefined roles and, a platoon heavy everything. And I don't think it's set up for him. I really don't. And I think with either more steady roster, I guess I could say, better, more like everyday players, I think he would be much more successful with this roster. But I mean, then again, most coaches would. But it just doesn't feel like a roster suited for Melvin. And the one thing I would give him credit for is historically, he has done well with young players.
He has.
If he has the directive of we're going to play these guys, he has done a good job fostering and developing those young players at the major league level. Just look at like 3 different occurrences over in Oakland. So,
right.
If
they won his first year.
Route,
He won his first year with 3 non-roster pitchers, starting pitchers that came out of spring training. Hey, let me make this real quick comment, because Spencer Kitchen Handy tonight was in the front row with Lou Marston winning those raffle tickets. Boy, poor guy got to watch a beatdown. Oh,
some big home runs.
Yeah, he did. That was tough. How many home runs tonight? 5?
I think so, yeah.
5 homers, 4 for the Braves and 1
Oh,
for
and
the Giants.
Bora had a second half to that question on whether or not I thought Chapman would be back if they did go the route where it axed Melvin out. And I think at the end of the day, I don't think him leaving would really have all as much impact on Chapman's decision. But it's going to come down to money. You know, at the end of the day, if they put the money in front of him, I don't think Chapman's going to say no just because Melvin got, you know, kicked aside. I think it would just be I think it's just a financial situation because I do think he likes being in California and being in the Bay Area and everything.
Do you think he wants to? Do you think he'll re-sign with the Giants?
I could with the current front office and manager situation and everything, I do think it's very likely that he is back. I just hope it's like 3 years. 4 would be the max. I just, if they give him 5 years, I'm just gonna be like, what are we doing here? But
wow, I mean, you're basically giving up on Casey Schmidt unless you say he's your everyday second baseman.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I think Casey Schmidt after tomorrow's game is going to go down to AAA because Tyro Estrada just had a rehab game in Sacramento. He had 3 hits. So,
did you guys see who was pitching for Salt Lake against Sacramento today?
Who?
No, who was it?
It was Johnny Cueto.
Oh.
Hunter Bishop hit one like 410 feet off him.
Johnny
Cueto did his little shimmy and everything, and he throws it. I mean, he throws 89 now, and Bishop just hit a tank.
Wow,
hilarious.
Well, let's wrap this up. We got about 20 minutes before we finish. Let's get to Cody's minor league report on the Giants. He comes on Wednesday night because he brings us the Giants minor league report. So go ahead, and if you got any highlights, let her rip.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't save any of the videos on here, so I don't have any of them.
Okay.
I did post an Eldridge home run from yesterday on my Twitter, which
I did see that. That was nice.
Those disappeared into the night.
I was going to say those games are dark in high A. They don't have good lights.
Even if they had good lights, I'm not sure you'd have seen where that thing landed.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, he is truly he's truly impressive. But oh yeah, here you go. He was the offense for Eugene. He had both their hits and a walk, and they only had 4 base runners, and he was 3 of them. Yeah, you literally don't. I mean, it's crappy camera and everything, but that thing is somewhere in the trees. Might still be in orbit.
He's a big guy.
And he could easily gain 20, 30 pounds of muscle. I mean, you look at him, and it's like, this guy's going to be a monster in a couple of years. I mean, he's going to always have some swing and miss, but I mean, you look at his numbers right now, and he's got like a 19% walk rate in high A, and his strikeout rate is like 24%. I mean, it's
league average is 25 roughly, right?
Yeah, something like that. So he'll probably be a little bit higher than league average. Strikeout percentage just because he is huge, but he doesn't have like an absurd hole in his swing. Like, a lot of taller guys, they can't cover the inside. He covers the inside just fine. Like, I've seen him put balls over the fence in left field, down the left field line, and I saw him hit an inside pitch over the fence in left field.
Wow.
I mean, it's kind of crazy the power he has.
Wow.
But yeah, that was the one video I posted kind of recently. But going back to last week, for starters, he had a really good week, 8 for 17, a triple, 3 doubles, 8 walks and only 4 strikeouts last week. Amongst hitters, I know Bo Davidson's been playing really well. I didn't have his numbers written down. Down in San Jose, Lisbel Diaz is finally starting to get going again a little bit. Tibbs is down there. He's hitting almost 400 in San Jose. I mean,
James Tibbs.
Honestly, I kind of feel like they need to just move him up to Eugene like within the week and just let him play it out in Eugene. He's going to move quick through the system. I feel pretty strongly about that. Moving over to Double-A, not a ton of big performances. Victor Barracoto is finally starting to get going a little bit. He went
playing
5 for
first base or third?
Yeah, I see him mostly at first.
Okay.
Nowadays. They move guys all over, but I
Yeah.
see him mostly at first. Jairo Pomares, 6 for 25, 3 doubles, had a walk-off in one of the games. Von Brown has returned to Double-A. Only played one game, though, last week, went 0 for 1 with a strikeout, so we'll see what he does.
Isn't he like 26 now?
He is.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I like the guy, but he's very much trending towards being out of the system very soon.
I mean, he's had a good story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those older and this is where I kind of temper expectations on guys like Charlie County, who, he's doing really well in Eugene right now. I think, we want
the guy that
24.
is that the guy that was traded for
No, that was Ceballos for Soler.
Oh, so
Yeah. But County's like 24 years old. He's an older first-year player, tore it up in San Jose. Now he's in Eugene, and he's actually been even better in Eugene. But until those guys get up to like Double-A, I can't. When they're like 24 years old, 25 years old, you should dominate the lower levels. You're 4 years older than like the average player there. So I just need to see those guys in the upper levels. And, Von Brown, he got up to Double-A and he hit a wall. And he hasn't been able to figure it out. So we'll see. Not saying none of these other guys can be good, but I just don't put too much stock into them at the lower levels. Whitman pitched in 2 games, gave up 4 earned over 9 2/3. Was pretty solid overall, though. Amongst other pitchers, Mason Black had a good week, through 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Trevor McDonald had another solid start, 4 2/3, gave up 1 earned run and 77 pitches. I do think they're trying him out as a starter. He might become a starter down the road, but I do think he's a guy that very likely could contribute next season, but it'll probably be out of the pen in more of a Tristan Beck type role. Speaking of Beck, he actually made a rehab appearance last week. I think he pitched again yesterday. I didn't actually see what the box score was on yesterday's game. I wasn't able to watch yesterday's Sacramento game. But he threw 3 innings in the outing he pitched in last weekend. And then I'm kind of looking through my notes. Matos had a good week last week, 6 for 14, a couple homers. Meckler, 9 for 32, a couple doubles, 4 strikeouts, a stolen base. McRae had a whole bunch of action last week, had 2 homers, 2 triples, a double, 3 walks, and then 10 strikeouts. It's kind of everything that he is. This showed off the speed, showed off some of the pop, and then struck out a bunch. So that was all I have really kind of for the minors. One last person, Johnny Level, just kind of a shout out to him. He's done really well in the Dominican Summer League. He's only 17. He was their top international signee in this last class. Wasn't super highly ranked. I think he was rated like number 36. But he's having a really good summer league. I believe he's up to 9 home runs now and like 17 stolen bases or 18 stolen bases, something like that. So he's been pretty solid down there. So we'll hopefully see him stateside this season, and we'll get a little more action there. And then for anybody that hasn't looked, they did update the Giants' top 30 prospects.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, they only have 3 top 100 guys, and they did have a little bit of movement. Eldridge is now their number 1, number 54 overall on the top 100. Then Birdsong, I think, was 88, and Tibbs was 99. Those were the only 3 top 100 guys. But Dakota Jordan is now number 5 on the list. And then a bunch of their more recent acquisitions, guys like Jacob Bresnahan, who they got for Alex Cobb. He was number 20. Hipwell was 22. Jacob Christian's 23. And then a couple guys that were down in like the complex league and played really well, like Jose Ortiz and Bo Davidson. And Bo Davidson's actually doing really well in San Jose right now. Probably should be in high A sooner than later, but what is he? 63. Eldridge is 54. I'm not sure if that's who Spencer's referring to in that comment, but he's 54. So we'll see. They have potential. They have some guys, Rainer Arias, once he gets stateside or once he gets to full season ball, if he can show his potential, he's a guy I could see climbing quick. Same with Dakota Jordan. Wisenhunt fell off the rankings, but not surprised with he's having a lot of struggles in AAA this season. But I will say the thing with Wisenhunt is if you look at his home road splits, he does really well in Sacramento, which is like the most neutral park in that league. So, not every in the majors outside of Coors, there's not that many parks that play like Albuquerque and Salt Lake City and some of these other places. So,
right. So, in your mind, you're looking at these players. I'm hearing you talk about them.
mm-hmm.
I mentioned to you the Braves. They got loaded with several homegrown guys, few trades. Olsen a trade, but Riley's pretty much a heart of the order guy. Maybe he's not spectacular. He's at least not this year. He was last year, but Austin Riley looks like a player. You got Ozzie Albies. You got Michael Harris, the third, out there in center field. And you got Acuna coming back. You got Strider coming back at some point, and then probably not till 26 season, most likely. Maybe late 25 he comes back. But you got a lot of stars. And the Giants have lacked stars really from their minor league system. I mean, it's fine if you get several players that are above average. You had your Brandon Crawfords, your Pablo Sandovals, your Brandon Belts, guys that were, near all-star or sometimes make an all-star, but then you had your superstar and buster.
Mm-hmm.
So if what I'm hearing you say, if it sounds like maybe Bryce Eldridge could be that superstar player, who are the potential stars? Because I'm not hearing any. And maybe I don't have a lot of faith in a lot of these guys.
Well, I mean, so the one thing they have done with the system that I do like in the last two drafts is they've went out and actually prioritized getting guys with like premium tools, athletic profiles,
right? Walker Martins
which I mean, we're seeing some of the struggles with Martin. He's striking out a ton. We'll see if they figure it out. That it could be special players, but guys like Rainer Arias, I think he's got some pretty big time upside. Tibbs, I mean, I think at best you're looking at a New York Mets Conforto type player, which I would take. That's a really good player that you can put in the middle of your order. Dakota Jordan certainly has a ton of tools, big time power and speed. So, they have some guys that if you hit on one of them might be one of those, star type players. But I think Eldridge is the best bet to be a kind of a flagship, build your franchise around type player. And he's ranked appropriately now on the rankings. Like I think he's the guy with that chance.
Okay.
So,
well, very good. Anything else?
We got Grant McCrae commenting on Twitter.
What do we got on Twitter?
Grant McCrae commented, "Let me just play, dog."
I love Grant McCrae.
Let me just play, dog. Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I like the attitude. His dad, sure. I remember that years ago when he ran through that outfield fence. I thought that's hilarious.
They showed the highlight today on.
Yeah. I know they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was sitting there watching with my dad, and I go, "Hey, do you know who his dad is?" And he's like, "No." And I go, "It's Rodney McCrae." And I'm like, "Do you know who that is?" He goes, "No." And I go, "It's the guy that ran through the fence." And I go, "It's hilarious. Grant McCrae could have an awesome career, and he'll probably never have a play as famous as that one."
Right. Exactly. Well,
but I like him. I hope he makes contact because he's electric.
Yeah, Grant, we wish you the best. We hope you succeed.
Yeah, we definitely do. We're pulling for you. We're pulling for the young guys. We're pulling for, everybody to succeed on this team. But I'm ready to just see some athletic guys. Like you said, McCrae's got, what is he rated? Is he 70 speed or 80?
Yeah, 70 speed. I think it's like 55 power too, or 50 or 55 power. Like he's got 4 really, really great tools. And
what's his biggest struggle? It's just batting average?
Contact.
Contact?
Yeah. He has a good eye. Generally speaking, I think today, he was probably pressing a little bit at the plate, and the pitchers, they did pitch him really tough. I mean, they were stealing strike. One of the at bats, they stole a strike on a
Are
backdoor
you putting him in the
slider, and
lineup? Are you putting him in the lineup tomorrow against Max Fried?
I
I
am,
just
yes.
put him in the lineup every day. Play him
Yeah.
in center field. I'd take the defense.
Yeah.
We'll sacrifice defense for offense at catcher. Why not center field?
Yeah. It's
Or
Farhan
sorry,
always said
offense
wanted
for
to be
defense. I flip that around.
right. Always wanted to be strong up the middle defensively.
Yeah.
How about Ahmad Rosario? I don't see him as a fit for the Giants. Where do you think he lands? Do you think somebody like Atlanta, because Albies is out, put him at
Yeah, that
second
would make
base?
sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect fit.
Got to
He's
be a
hitting
contender,
305.
right?
Yeah. I mean, he's hitting 305. Albies isn't coming back until mid to late September, I think. I don't know. I think I would try and make room for a guy like that.
If I was them, I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
would be,
they're in the playoff race, a little jolt.
yeah. So Grant McCray, hopefully he's in the lineup tomorrow. So guys, predictions, we'll close it out. What's your predictions for tomorrow? It's a 12:45 start. Logan Webb takes the mound against Max Fried of the Atlanta Braves. What happens?
I'm going to say the Braves win 6-2. I think Logan Webb starts off kind of hot. I think he ends up going 6 innings, allows 4 runs, and then the bullpen allows 2 more runs. I don't see them beating the Braves. I think they get swept. The Giants are kind of in that downward spiral, and the Braves are on the upward trend. They just got blown out today. What was it, 13-2?
Yes.
I mean, maybe the Giants can come back, but I don't see it. I think the Braves keep on adding pressure and they keep on pouncing on the Giants, and I think they get on Logan Webb tomorrow.
Okay. Cody, what do you say?
I mean, my gut kind of says that Webb's going to put together a good outing. I just don't know if the Giants can score. Like, I do think Webb's going to have a solid one, maybe like his typical 7 innings, 2 runs. And I don't know. I'll be the optimist. I'll say the Giants will win 3-2. I think Webb's going to give him something, and they just got to scratch a couple runs for him.
Okay. I'm going to say that the Braves, I don't know what the score is going to be, but they figure a way to win this because they were playing so poorly and they've woken up. And I think when they felt that pressure of like, gosh, we're fighting now for a playoff berth. We're looking up at the Mets in front of us and the Giants are chasing us. Let's bury these guys tomorrow and leave. Where are the Braves? Do the Braves go home tomorrow? They must. Yeah, they were gone in Colorado. They're going home. They want that flight to be a really fun flight. And they scrap a few runs against Webb. And I think I'll say Atlanta 4-2. How's that?
Okay.
4-2. And let me just put something up here. I'm going to put a little, hold on here. I got to,
Yeah. Cody, I forget what your prediction was. Did you say the Giants win?
I said 3-2. Yeah, I said Giants will. I'm going. I think Webb gives them a good one, and I don't know. I feel like they're gonna. It's a absolutely they have to win game, and although they haven't been good in those, so I mean, I am very not confident in that prediction, but I'll be the optimist of the group. I'll say they'll win 3-2.
Okay. Fried hasn't had a great season, right? He's kind of been up and down.
Yeah, and he was hurt for a while. I saw him make a couple rehab starts at one point.
Okay, Fried. Oh wait, no, he was an all-star. He's 7.
Yeah, he got hurt in the All-Star game, and he went on the 10-day IL. Came off. He's had 2 not so very good outings. had struggled with command. I know this because he's on my fantasy team, so I actually sat him last outing because I didn't expect him to do well in Colorado. And so, yeah, he's usually, from what I've heard, it takes him a couple starts to get back into a rhythm. Tomorrow could be a good spot, depending on how the ball's carrying tomorrow with the winds. Usually the ball carries out better in the daytime. Tonight it was carrying, the wind was definitely going out to left field tonight. Although Harris smoked that thing into the cove. Oh my goodness. As soon as he hit that, I go, they were just talking about it. He's never had a grand slam. And he does now.
I read that and was like, this dude, they just jinxed him.
I was watching with my mom and she called that. She was like, he's gonna hit a grand slam.
Yeah.
Well, right. When he couldn't find the plate and he's like, he's got to come in. He's not going to walk another guy in. They had scored and they hadn't had a hit. 2 hits, batsmen, and 3 walks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, I'm going to walk another guy. No, I got to get this over the plate. He's just sitting there waiting and waiting. Hey, there's the question. Tomorrow it's a big day. Is the 15th officially the death of the Giants? And does Brandon Ayuk sign with the Niners tomorrow? What say you guys?
Tomorrow, August 15th is, I'm going to say the death of the Giants was today.
Okay.
And I'm hoping Ayuk signs Friday because, Dan, we don't have a show Friday because the Giants are off. So
yeah.
Maybe we can have a show and Ayuk signs Friday.
Okay. Oop. Got the wrong one. So what do you say, Coach?
That's 2018. That's the day Farhan Zaidi was hired. So there's
that is never been a more true statement on NorCal sports than that right there.
But hopefully Ayuk signs or gets traded or something, because I'm kind of just tired of it. Just crap or get off the pot, bro.
Yeah.
Figure out where you want to play. I hope he re-signs though with the Niners. I really do.
Because I think the Niners need him in order to make a run.
Yeah. And really, I've felt, not to go full on the Niners, I've felt you pay him and then you figure out moving Debo in a year or two.
I agree. I completely agree.
Because I think they're better off with 2 receivers that can separate than a gadget guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to disrespect Debo. Like, he's excellent at what he does. But in the Super Bowl, we saw it. Where
he can't separate.
He can't separate. And
I said the same thing on my morning show with if you guys saw that today with Red Jet Shell. She was dressed in her Niner gear, and I said, yeah, Debo, to me, I think that's why they drafted Pearsall, because Kyle saw what Puka Nacua did with the Rams, and they run the same offense for the most part, McVay and Kyle, and Puka Nacua was open all the time. Of course, he's bigger, but you would think Pearsall would be able to break free and get open in Kyle's system. And that's kind of what Kyle wants to do, is just move the chains, right? Move the chains. So, well, guys, we will be back tomorrow in the morning, the new morning show called Morning Game Plan. I'll be back probably solo tomorrow. It's just a short 15 to 25, maybe 30 minutes max show. We cover the hot topics in sports of the day. So we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe on the way out. Catch us tomorrow morning again, 8 a.m. And then tomorrow night at 8 o'clock will be our post game for the Giants. Even though the game ends about 2:33, we'll be back at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And with that, at 8 o'clock tomorrow, we may have some Brandon Ayuk news too. So maybe we'll do a special show. If it breaks early, we'll do that before the Giants post game. But everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks to Bora and thanks to Cody. Check out his channel, Even Year Dynasty Show, YouTube. Go check it out, everybody. See you tomorrow morning at 8.